Hey, what's up, guys? This is Edo Speaks back again with another video. So now that the playing tournament is set and the playoffs are about to begin, I want to talk about the playoff bracket and give my predictions for who's going to be in the finals or who's going to win the finals. So I want to start in the Western Conference. So far that the Memphis Grizzlies beat the Golden State Warriors, they will get the 8th seed in the playoffs, and they're going to go up against the number 1 seed, the Utah Jazz. And with regards to that, I have the Utah Jazz beating them in a gentleman's sweep. I have the Utah Jazz, if they're 100% healthy, beating them in 5 games as regards to that situation. I think the Jazz are, a wrecking in the Western Conference. I think they're going to be a good seeding, like beating the Memphis Grizzlies, especially just coming off a win from yesterday. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be playing Sunday or Monday. But again, they're going to be well rested. Hopefully, Donovan Mitchell comes back for his injury, and they'll take care of business beating the Memphis Grizzlies in 5 games. Now I want to go next to Clippers versus Dallas Mavericks. Now, I already know that Dallas Mavericks gave the Clippers a little bit of trouble last season during the playoffs, but again, that was a crazy situation as regards to that. It was 5 months off the bubble, being on Orlando, being at the Disney Resort, the situation. I feel like the Clippers are going to be in a better headspace this year as regards to last year, dealing with the whole bubble situation. They have a new teammates, better chemistry. They have Rondo to run the offense better for them, put everybody in a good position. See, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have to play iso ball all the time. They have a point guard that can actually set them up. They have 3 decent centers that could, rotate around to give matchup problems for opposing teams' big men or front court, my mistake. So I could see that the Clippers beat the Dallas Mavericks in 6 games. Now we have Denver versus Portland. Now, Portland is one of the hottest teams in the Western Conference right now. They're not like a title contender or anything like that, but they're a dangerous team where if you sleep, they could possibly upset you. But I have Denver winning in 6 games. I know that Jamal Murray is out for the season with an ACL injury, and that's going to put a lot more pressure on Nikola Jokic, but I still feel like they have enough talent to beat the Portland Trail Blazers and push the games to 6 and take them out off their floor. Now we have Lakers versus the Suns. As regards to that, I don't see the Suns beating the Los Angeles Lakers. I could see the game. I could see it going to 6 games. We don't know how healthy LeBron James and Anthony Davis are really. They look like they were struggling against the Warriors in the play-in tournament, but they just managed to get it together just enough to win the game and get the 7th seed. But we can't sleep on the Suns. They have the 2nd seed in the conference, and they didn't get that for no reason. They have Devin Booker, wet like a book, and they also have Chris Paul, 2 good players. So they're going to have to watch out for them, but I still see the Lakers winning this series in 6 games to make it to the conference. And then after that, it's going to be Utah Jazz versus the Clippers. I have the Clippers beating the Utah Jazz in 6 games. I don't really see that the Utah Jazz match up well with the Clippers. I feel like they have their number. I feel like the Clippers have way too much offense for the Utah Jazz. Now they have a great defensive rating, but still, I feel like they're gonna be too much for the Clippers to handle, and they'll take them out in 6 games. And now we're gonna have Clippers versus the Nuggets. I think it's gonna be the same thing like last year, probably a little bit worse since they don't have Jamal Murray. I think the Lakers beat them in 5 games, gentleman's sweep. Will they make it a competition? Sure. It's probably going to be a couple of close games, but I think I still see the Lakers winning it out because they're the number 1 defensive team in the NBA. So taking that to playoffs is going to be good for them to stop opposing teams. If they can find a way to stop Jokic, my mistake, I said Nurkic. If they can find a way to stop Nikola Jokic, then they're basically set to go to the Western Conference Finals. And then we have Clippers versus Los Angeles Lakers. Battle for LA. The matchup that we always wanted since last year and that we didn't get. Now, as regards to this, I do see the Clippers beating the Lakers in 6 games. It's going to be a tough 6 games. The number one three-point shooting team and free throw shooting team versus the number one defensive rating team. I do have the Clippers winning. I feel like it's going to be their time to finally make that push to go to the finals and see if they can contend for a title. I just don't. I feel like they match up well with the Lakers in terms of size and shooting. They have two great wing defenders that could guard LeBron. They have three big men that's not gonna, bother AD or anything like that, but they could throw bodies at him, to cause matchup problems for him and see what they could do. As regards to Andre Drummond, he might be an issue for them, but I don't really see that much to it. Now, so I have the Clippers representing the Western Conference in the NBA Finals, and now we go on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Right now, I see the Philadelphia, they're going to sweep the Washington Wizards. I see no competition. It's going to be a fun little series, probably a 1 or 2 close games, but I see the Wizards are going to just fold. Westbrook particularly doesn't do too well against high IQ level teams, and I see that as a gentleman's sweep. Then we have the New York Knicks versus the Atlanta Hawks. I have the New York Knicks beating the Atlanta Hawks in 6 games. The Atlanta Hawks are like a good little team, but I just think the New York Knicks are more like brutal physically, and they're going to push them around and they're going to beat them in 6 games. It's going to be a grueling long series, but I feel like the Knicks has what it takes to beat them in a 6-game series to make it over. And then I have the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat. I did hear about Giannis Antetokounmpo, recent interview. I don't like certain things that Giannis Antetokounmpo say. I wonder where his headspace at when he be saying certain things. It makes me not as confident as him to propel his team to the next level in terms of getting to the finals and winning a championship. But I see the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Miami Heat in a 6-game series. I feel like, Miami Heat is one of those tough teams that they're not going to lie down. They're going to take their chunk out of you and make sure, it's not going to be an easy sweep or a 5-game series. So I do see the Milwaukee Bucks winning, but it's going to be in a tough, grueling series. And then we have the Brooklyn Nets versus the Celtics. I have a gentleman's sweep for that. I'm not going to get into details with that. There's James Harden, Kyrie, KD, and it's a hobbled Celtics team with Jason Tatum. There's nothing more left to say about that. So now we go into the second round. We have 76ers versus the New York Knicks, and I have the New York Knicks losing to the 76ers. I don't think the New York Knicks have enough offense to compete with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, so I have them losing possibly gentleman's sweep or maybe 6 games, but I'm leaning more to a gentleman's sweep. And then when we go to Brooklyn versus Milwaukee, I have the Brooklyn Nets winning in 6 games. As regards to that, I just don't see the Milwaukee Bucks able to beat all three, that 3-headed monster in Brooklyn, beating those guys and having enough offense. I don't see the diversity in Giannis Antetokounmpo's game to diversify himself to shoot mid-range, shoot threes, attack the basket, and do all that. They're going to find a way to stop him. They're going to wall him. They're going to trap him. They're going to force the ball out of his hand and try to make his teammates beat him. So I see them losing in 6 games to the Brooklyn Nets, and then we're going to go to the Eastern Conference Championship game where it's going to be Philly versus Brooklyn. And I have the Brooklyn Nets winning that series in 6 games. I think the Brooklyn Nets have too much offense. Now, I think it's going to be a tough 6 games because the Sixers do have a tough task in dealing with Joel Embiid. They don't do good against bigs. You can see that with Andre Drummond, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. They're going to have their way with them, but if they could score over 120 points and expose the Nets defense, then they possibly could make it a series. But I just think KD's just too good of a player, especially with Clutch Kyrie and James Harden controlling the offense. It's going to be too much for the Sixers to handle, and they're going to end up losing in 6 games. And then we're going to have the final matchup with the Clippers versus the Nets, and I have the Brooklyn Nets winning the NBA Finals, beating the Clippers in 6 games. I just feel like Nets just have way too much offense. Now, is their defense a problem? Sure, I'll admit that. But if they could outscore their opponents with, Steve Nash, and on top of that, the assistant coach, then they're going to be a problem for anybody in the league to deal with if they are able to, succumb their bad defensive rating. But they're like 15 in defensive rating. They're not too bad, but still, I get what they're saying is a potential problem in the playoffs when you're going up against high level teams that are going to hone in on it. But again, I have the Brooklyn Nets winning the NBA 2021 championship, beating the Clippers in 6 games. Those are my thoughts and opinions. Let me know yours down in the comment section down below. This is Ito Speaks out.